Hi, this is Jenny Williams with Get a Real Estate Life Coaching Program, and welcome to 60 Minutes to Six Figures. And Happy New Year! This is our first hangout that we've gotten to get together and share some great tips. And today we got stuff packed out that you always request, and you know I'm always trying my best to deliver what you really want to hear and learn about. So say hello to Matt. Matt.
How's it going, everybody?
You know, he is our Google Hangout guy. He always takes good care of us, and just could not even imagine doing this show without him. So thanks for being here, of course, Matt.
Thank you very much. So we did have a couple questions on the Google page just about the replays and how to log on and things like that. So we're streaming live right here on the page. You don't have to log in. The replay actually streams and records right to the same page, so you can watch it back here again, or you can go to the Get a Real Estate Life YouTube channel to watch the replay there. It's there within a couple minutes of us stopping the live broadcast as well. And if you want to ask questions live, just put them in the same place. Right here on the Google Plus page, you can actually type them in as a comment right on the page. I will see them, and I'll bring the questions to Jenny and the special guests, which, speaking of which, we have two awesome guests, Jenny, that you wanted to introduce, and then we'll get into some real estate specific topic, like tips and strategies that you have.
All right, great. So today our topic is about giving you the best advantage to hit really big goals this year. I mean, we have clients that have $1-million income goals, and you're going to not only need to have all that energy every single day in order to hit those goals. You're also going to need to start the year off being highly organized. So I want to introduce to you two awesome ladies that are going to be bringing you tips that are incredible. Kristen, say hello.
Hey there. Thanks for having me.
Kristen is the Love Your Body mentor, and what I love about Kristen, you're going to get to know more from her in just a minute, is that she is not an extremist of, hey, you have to eat all this way or you have to do things all that way. She's kind of like I am, is where she fits diet and exercise plans that you'll actually commit to doing, and things that are really good for you. Just in one conversation with you, Kristen, I learned so much, not only about me, but even for my husband. And, you were even giving me ideas about arches and his ankles. So I know that you're going to be giving us some really good stuff. So, and I also want to introduce Diane. Hey, Diane.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
No, so excited that you're here. It is the #1 request that I get is help me to be organized. So as a professional organizer, and I love your logo or one of your slogans that is from clutter to calm. If we could all feel that and what you do for people. So again, we're going to have some great tips for you today. So I know, Matt, you were having some questions earlier. We were talking about how to set this year off in the right direction for real estate agents.
Yeah. Are we talking about questions from your viewers in advance? What are we talking about?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, what we were talking about is like how to create that right environment, to give yourself that best advantage as an agent and even as a lender. And one of the best things that I can give as far as advice when you're starting off a new year and you want to hit really big goals, are you need to ask yourself a question: are you at the right environment? Are you at the right office? Do you have the right support from your broker, from your team leader, or from your sales team, from your team members, from your VAs, from your assistants, from your buyer's agents? Do you have what you need in order to hit those goals? And a lot of people have been moving offices. December, January is the time for agents to make a move, and a lot of lenders too, because they like to be fresh in the downtime and start out with their new companies right in January, so it's not in the middle of high season. So what I want to make sure that you ask yourself is, if you don't have the support system, what do you need in order to put that in place? Because this will hold you back. If you feel like you're not getting what you need and other people are in your environment, then you may need to make a switch. If it's not that big of a deal, stay where you are. Be productive in your own seat and ignore all of that. Do your own thing and hit those big goals. So that's the one thing I wanted to make sure that we got out of the way as far as business. The other thing is I'm always preaching and teaching about that calendar. Make sure you know how many appointments you need, and all of your activities are to fulfill those appointments. Everything else is busy work. And Lord knows we can create a ton of busy work. Right?
Right. You can create a ton of busy work or a ton of appointments, and appointments make you way more money.
That's right. It's the only thing that's going to lead you to a paycheck. So I want you to simplify everything as far as your thoughts and stay focused on that.
Yeah.
But
Now, I did see a post in the community that you put up, Jenny, that the Josh Vernon group already has 28 new client appointments scheduled, I believe, this month, in the first couple weeks of the month, right?
They've already completed.
Completed. Good Lord.
They've already completed 28 new client appointments in the first 2 weeks of this year. So I don't say that to say, yes, gosh, they're incredibly awesome, and they are incredibly awesome. I want that kind of news to inspire you to say, well, gosh, if they can do 28, I know that I could at least do 10. And, let them bring you up to another level. They're always looking for people to chase and bring them up to a higher level. So, use that inspiration to say, wow, it can be done in January. They have 20 under contract. So, the appointments lead to the contracts that lead to the closings. So, yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Matt.
Yeah, I was curious, kind of, do you know offhand, like, what are they going for in terms of weekly measures? Because you wanted to talk about a little bit of that in terms of, like, breaking your goals down into weekly things that you can actually track. Do you know offhand kind of what they're going for in terms of how many appointments they're trying to set?
I do. Their goal is to hit 14 new client appointments per week.
Okay, so they're right on track.
Yeah, they're right on track, but they're always right on track. You know why? Because they know what they need to hit in all of their activities, and they only work about 30 hours a week. And I'm not saying that to make you jealous, to make you want to hit your head against a brick wall. I'm just saying that these are the possibilities that you can make happen, because when you're totally focused, just like what Matt said, on knowing what the metrics are and getting those metrics completed each week, then you can take off the rest of the week. I mean, other people can fill in and do those things that as part of your marketing plan or a part of your client fulfillment. So I want to go right on into this because we have a ton of stuff to cover in our hour together. In order to hit 14 appointments a week, you've got to have a ton of energy. And Kristen, I'm all about tell me what can give me more energy, because that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Awesome. Are you ready for it?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, let's go. I'm ready. Okay, so the things that will give you more energy, I kind of like to break it out into 3 categories. So it's really, really simple. You need meal planning, you need movement, you need motivation. All right?
Yes.
So 3 things. Meal plan, movement, motivation. So for meal planning, it does not have to be complicated, but basically what you need to do is fuel your body every few hours. And the reason you have to fuel your body every few hours is because, like, picture a car, right? You can't drive your car at full speed across the United States on empty. You have to stop and refuel for gas along the way, right? Your body's the same way. So when you're out there and you're showing houses and you're having lending appointments and you are, putting forth your best self, that takes a lot of energy, mental and physical energy from you. And that's what a lot of people don't think about. They think about physical energy. Okay, I need calories. I need to work out, right? But we don't think about our brain actually having a workout too. So eating every few hours will help you create sustained energy in your life. Movement. Movement should be something that de-stresses your body, right? That energizes your body, and that's fun for you. So many people think of movement as something that should be torturous, like, forgive my example, but maybe like a hardcore CrossFit workout or something, like no pain, no gain, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's not easy to stick with long term. So most of the time, people will hit it hard for 2 weeks and then they'll quit because they're like, I can't possibly be this sore and like struggle sitting on the toilet for, the rest of my life. This sucks. So anyway, choose something that is fun and that you actually want to do, right? And it can be as easy as starting with 10 minutes a day, truly. And you will find the time once you start feeling better to squeeze more in. The third thing, motivation. I love what, Jenny, I love what you were saying earlier about creating those weekly goals to hit, like those weekly milestones. I really do feel like that's what keeps people in the game, you know? It's like, so maybe instead of, okay, I have to lose 10 pounds this week, maybe it's, okay, I have to make sure that, you know, 4 out of my 5 meals every day are balanced and make me feel good, right? Because the more you do that, the better your body gets and the more weight you lose by default, right? And then you're not married to that number on the scale.
Whole game. I love the treating it as a game. Like, I'm a total sugar junkie, okay? So I'm not going to preach anything that I don't live by. However, I do have this game about, you know, how much nutrition can I get in? How much nutrients can I get in a day? And, you know, that to me is a lot more fun than thinking about calories, or plus I get to eat my sugar.
Amen, sister.
I'm all about having it all, Kristen.
I can see that. That's good. Well, hey, fruit has sugar and it's healthy sugar, so you can have your sugar, and that will definitely help.
Well, and like you were saying with movement, you know, I can do a 28-minute run and feel energized all day. Like, those are the things that make us, okay, what else can we do, right? Like, it's time to conquer. When I used to do CrossFit, just what you were saying, like, oh no, I'm done. I am toasted.
Dude, I tried CrossFit for 2 months, and I was miserable. And I'm a trainer. I was miserable. Okay, I can't even tell you. I was so sick of doing wall balls, and I don't even know what else we were doing, but I hated it. I couldn't stand it because the mentality in there is just not where my head's at. You know, I think it's incredibly important to find a strength training routine that you like, because obviously the more muscle we have, the more we'll eat extra body fat, the more we'll keep our body nice and toned, because we all know after age 30 things start to fall a little bit more than we would like. They don't stay up on their own anymore. So you like something, you know, but I don't think it has to be so torturous and grueling. I mean, I'll do my stuff in 10 minutes a day. You know, I've got lots of 10-minute toning videos, so 10 minutes a day, that's really all you need.
Well, and again, it totally energizes you so that you can get more appointments going. And what you were saying earlier, too, about how, you know, your brain has a mental workout. So it has to have certain nutrients in order to, you know, have those conversations and make that next dial and make that next personal meeting. I was even reading recently about probiotics and how there's an emotional connection on how your brain makes decisions when it has the right probiotics. It doesn't react so much, so you have more of an even keel manner about you, you know, stability. So I think it's just so interesting because we can get way off kilter, especially when we are like running like crazy. And as agents, I was sharing with you that they leave early, they're showing all day long. A lot of times they just forget to eat all together, and then total binge eating at night.
I call that, I have these little weight loss patterns that most, actually I should say all people tend to fit into, but I call that Sweet Tooth Sally. So Sweet Tooth Sally, she skips important meals like breakfast and waits till she's totally hangry to eat. But then she cannot control herself. I mean, it's like game over, you know? Salads do not work when you are hangry. You give me the carby, bready stuff, the pizza, the hamburgers, whatever it is, and I know this stuff, and I go through the same shit. So,
well, I have to tell you that I was the poster child for You're Hangry. You know, Kristen has the vlog if you want to go check it out, and she talks about being hangry. And so I have to make a mental effort ahead of time to eat constantly throughout the day because my hangry is not nice. In fact, my kids and husband, they run to the pantry. She's hangry, quick! I
They
know.
all suffer. I know.
Our high producing agents, they do the same thing because they're on the go. They're running, running, running. So, what tips can you give for somebody who is like crazy on a tight schedule and needs to be able to eat and keep their blood sugar level?
Totally. Okay, so this is the thing that everybody overcomplicates, right? And they make it so hard, but truly, okay, in order to have a productive workday, you have to plan out, right? You have to create a schedule. You have to know where you're going to be at what time. Okay, it's the same thing with your meal planning. And it doesn't have to be hard. I have this awesome snack list. You can totally get it, 31snacks.com. It gives you lots of grab-and-go snacking options. But what you
Yes.
want to do is you want to stock your car, stock a nice lunch bag with snacks so that you can keep your energy levels up during the day, and not just any snacks. You have to balance your snacks so that you can keep your blood sugar levels regulated. So that means that if you're just eating a piece of fruit or you're just eating a piece of cheese, you're going to throw your blood sugar levels off because they're not balanced, right? You need to have a protein and a carb with every meal and snack. So here I got props. Here's an awesome snacking idea. Okay, obviously this one needs refrigeration. It's prosciutto, but this is dried pineapple. So this can stay in your car for decades, but don't do that. Another thing that I love is making a shape. Okay, so if you guys have ever heard of a blender bottle, this little piece of wiring is magical. It looks like nothing, but this shapes up a smoothie. You can put it in a mason jar, and then I do like a little light coconut milk, gelatin protein powder, and banana smoothie. You can take that with you to go. All right, so that's another snack idea. Another one, dried papaya and cheese. Everybody loves cheese. I keep getting people saying, oh my God, I can eat cheese. And yes, you can, just not in like, 20 ounces worth. But you can have an ounce of cheese with a real dried fruit, Almost lost a prop. Hard-boiled egg and a boiled potato. So easy. And you can pack these things to go, you guys. And these are things that will keep you satisfied and will keep your energy going long term. And then you got to have your little packy stuff on hand, right? Little plastic bags, little Tupperware. But it really doesn't have to be hard. And what I would do is I would pack at least 3 different snack options for your day so that you can eat them between meals so that you don't get to that crazy hangry zone. And then you will save yourself. I swear to you, I have clients who will save themselves from eating 300 to 500 calories per day because they have some snacks and they don't go overboard at lunchtime. Sometimes just packing those snacks makes them lose pounds. It's amazing. So anyhow.
Well, or like avoid from going through the fast food restaurants where they're like, hey, yeah, supersize me. I want to add that. It's only a quarter more.
Yeah.
And, lift it all down before their next appointment. So I do have one agent who packs her drinks and her meals everywhere she goes, and she is awesome. She plans it out. And you know what? She gets straight back home because she's a newlywed and, wants to spend family time at home. And she is an excellent producer. So it can be done, y'all. Kristen is not giving you tips that are impossible to follow.
Yeah, they're easy peasy.
Yeah, we're talking about maybe an hour on Sunday night, right, Kristen, to mix everything up, throw it in some Tupperware sandwich bags, throw it in the fridge.
Yeah. Oh, totally. But I mean, if you just get this, I mean, you don't have to. You just throw it in your car.
Oh, God. So our lenders, they have like a kind of a different issue. They have an issue where they're constantly taking people to breakfast and to lunch and to dinner, and so they're going to pretty nice restaurants all the time. I mean, I'm surprised they can still walk. They're eating and trying to connect all the time. So, I mean, I'm sure you've got some excellent tips on
eating out at restaurants. You got it, girl. I totally do because I'm a huge foodie. I eat out at restaurants at least 2 times a week, usually 3 times a week. But here's the thing, I pick my battles. So I'll usually have, 1 to 2 max times where I'll go off in a week. okay? And that's just what I do because I know how my body feels best. You know, I'm not going to feel best if I'm eating fries and a burger every single lunch. I wish that was the case. I wish I could do that, but I can't. So anyhow, when I go to a restaurant and I'm trying to stay on point, what I try to do is I look for lower options that are lower in fat. Now, I'm not like a fan of a low-fat diet, but here's the deal: when you choose options that are a little lower in fat at restaurants, it's way more energizing for your body because they usually use these really unhealthy oils, even nice places, which drives me insane. So what I'll do is I'll look through the menu and I'll select a protein option that's usually a fish because fish tends to be lighter. And then I'll select a carb that's either a root vegetable or a fruit because that's, again, a little bit lighter than eating bread and rice. And it's more energizing for your body and it's more digestible for your body. And here's the other trick. I use my hand to measure out how much I should eat. Everybody's hand is usually in proportion with their body. All right, so I don't know why I'm laughing. I'm just thinking of somebody with really big hands right now. But anyhow, so I use my palm for protein, fist for carbs. So you can do a dance move. Bum, bum. Okay? Palm protein, fist carbs. Yeah. Little hair, whatever. Fat, although most restaurants will cook with fat, so you don't really have to worry about that. So palm protein, fist carbs. Look at the menu. Try to select a lighter option, a chicken breast, a fish, and then select a carb to go with it to refuel those the sugar, the energy in your body. So something like a root vegetable, a squash, or a fruit is an excellent option. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that helped me as far as energy and gain a lot of energy, well, two things really. I switched to coconut oil, and using that for some reason has given me a whole lot more energy. Even like I have an egg like every single day. That's my breakfast, one egg. And in that coconut oil, it just kind of changed everything. And then a lot of times, like raw spinach is like another one.
Coconut oil is a medium chain fat. That's why your body uses it right away, and your body prefers saturated fats over unsaturated fats, like completely. You know, so 95% of your fat should come from saturated sources when possible. So eggs, cheese, coconut oil, butter, that kind of thing. Your body loves to use that fat really quickly. So that's the great thing, and that's probably why you feel better.
Well, I love that. Any other like supplements, or how do you feel about that? Like anything else that could give people really high energy that they could sustain to reach really big goals? Can't even speak.
I'll tell you what, I am not a huge fan of supplements in the beginning when you're starting to get healthy. And the reason is because usually when I start working with clients, there's so much internal chaos going on. Their digestive system's a little messed up. They've got bloating. They're not losing weight quickly enough. And what I've learned is that when you start to load in supplements before you create a baseline of health, like a foundation of health, it ends up just kind of causing more chaos. So generally speaking, when we get people eating the right types of foods for their body in the right proportions for their body at the right times, then they start to feel that sustained energy instantly. Their cravings go away. And later down the line, if they still feel like they're missing something, then we can look at supplementation. Does that make sense?
Yes, I love it. Because so many people are trying to doctor you up with stuff.
Drives me crazy.
Yeah. Junk, and I mean it's not natural. I feel like a lot of that stuff could have side effects. So that's why I like your natural approach to who people are specifically. You sent out on New Year's Eve, which I thought, or the day after New Year's, which I thought was hilarious, and I loved it, and I forwarded it to everybody. Was your hangover, healing smoothies? And I have to say, for a lot of real estate agents and lenders do appreciate heavy wine and alcohol because they have to be on all the time. And
what? Like, believe that for a second.
Well, that list did not come from personal experience. I interviewed a lot of people for that list. I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, that came, you know, I had my college crit days, so I had to figure some things out back in the day. So yes, those hangover options, they do tend to help. And you know, when it comes to having alcohol, you gotta pick your battles, right? I can give you some really a really good tip for a very low calorie drink if you're interested, and how to drink alcohol so you don't feel so terrible the next day. You want that?
Do
That's
tell.
Give it to me. All right, so here's the deal. You know, alcohol gets metabolized and processed very quickly in the body, so you never want to drink alcohol on an empty stomach unless you're 21. That's cool. You can get away with it still. But, you know, again, you know, once we turn 30, we got to treat our bodies with respect. So make sure that you have something in your stomach to help to absorb the alcohol. I usually like to have a little more protein because alcohol is a carb, right? It's a sugar, so it, you know, gets metabolized quickly. The protein helps to absorb it. And if you want to go for something that's a little lower in the calorie department, you can choose tequila and soda water with a splash of some kind of juice, you know, to sweeten it up just a little bit. So tequila, soda water, maybe a little bit of orange juice, and that will bring the calories down. And sip slowly, right? Try not to drink, you know.
Well, you lost me.
Slowly.
I'm just teasing you. These are excellent tips. And I even tried one of the smoothies that had the ginger in it, and I'm like, you gave the why too, you know, like, why is this going to work for you? And that's what I loved, you know, because the enzymes in it, or because of like the ginger one. That's the one that I tried and loved it. So I always want to know the why behind certain things, and especially if it's going to bring me energy. You know, it's one thing to be able to lose weight or, you know, gain muscle or whatever, but I like to be thinking, okay, how can my brain think and function most clearly, and how can I get the energy I need to just dominate the day, dominate the week? So I feel like you've given us some really good tips here. Where can people find you?
Yeah, so people can find me at www.kristennolan.com. So there's two N's in the middle, KRISTENNOLAN.com. But the best thing to do is just go ahead and download the free snacks list. 31snacks.com is a snack list, and that will help you get a great jump start on what to pack so you don't get hangry, so you can balance your blood sugar and stay leaner and craving free.
Love it. I've got it. I've got it downloaded, and it pretty much sits on my desk. So, all right. Now that we've got all this high energy, it's time to get organized. And Diane, that's where you come in to say, all right, where do we even start? Most of us are chaotic. We're picking up files. We're, you know, thumbing through it, and real estate agents and lenders both deal with a ton of paperwork. So it can be completely chaotic. Where do we even start?
So, you know, that's probably the number one thing that people, when they come to me, they're overwhelmed, and that's the things they don't even know where to start. And so I always start with take that deep breath. You know, just get that deep breath, look around you, and realistically look around you and see what is it in your space that you're actually using. Because a lot of us have stacks and piles of things that we're going to get to, we plan on reading it, we're going to utilize it as a resource, and we never do. I mean, if you've had something sitting on your desk for over a year, how relevant is it to you? And so before I look, instead of organizing for what you actually supports you in your environment versus the someday I'd like to read this and have all this greater knowledge. I mean, what are the tools that you really need to perform your job and to give service to your clients? And those are the tools and things that you want to have around you. Before you even set up an organizing system, I always tell people to look at what they have in their environment and what they can get rid of first. Because why would we want to set up a system for hopefully getting rid of half the stuff we already have? So when you look at it, you want to get rid of those old marketing material that's no longer relevant, those business cards for a company you haven't worked for 5 years, you know, all of those things that you don't use, different handouts that are torn, that you're not going to give to a client. It's like, why are we having all those things in our space?
I'm laughing because, yeah, and I had all of those things.
Right, right. And even like the magazine subscriptions, it's like, are we really reading those things? If we see that we've got 3 to 6 months backlogged of subscription magazines that we are hoping to read someday, I tell people cancel them all. You can either look at them online, maybe grab them and put them. I have a bin that I have for travel, things I'm going to read when I travel, and I take them with me, and when I read them, I throw them away at the airport. Like, I get rid of them then. They don't come back with me. And so it's a way to have those concentrated times, and especially when realtors are out and about, maybe when you're waiting for an appointment and you've got these times here and there, you can take that to read file with you, read those things then, and then get rid of them. And there's not a point. I mean, there's almost nothing you can't just find online. So to actually have the physical copy of it, it's really a nice to. And if you do need it for a resource, then you want to have like a hanging file that has resources. And what specifically is it for? Is it for your buyers? Is it for lenders? Is it for new clients? Is it a checklist, so that you can easily get your hands on those things? So it's really looking at how is it convenient for you. And once you kind of sort through everything you have and you look at what's left, when you're creating a system, you want to have a color-coded system, because this way, no matter what you see of the file, you know what it belongs to. So all your client files should be one color. If you've got things that are for taxes, like I usually set up taxes or blue files, so my clients know this is a blue file, it's for taxes. And to have a different color for your personal type things. A lot of times, especially when we have home offices and we work out of our car and we're kind of on the fly no matter where we are, a lot of these things can intermingle. And by having a separate color for your personal and your business and your clients, and important papers that you need as well, in terms of like family birth certificates and your car and house deeds and those kind of things, if those have their own color, then just at a glance you already can kind of mentally know like where things are and where you can get your hands on and make it faster. And one of the things I think, go ahead. Go ahead.
Right? Like you can see it without having to
right.
process that info.
Color is huge, just to be able to quickly know what's in front of you and what you're working on. And again, you can also separate another color for projects. So if you're working on a project, a lot of people are like, well, I want to have it out in front of me. I'm visual. I want to see it, and I want to spread it out while I'm working on it. And I say it's fine. Like while you're working on it, go ahead, put it out. But then, put it back in that file. It's all there. You can open it up when you're actually going to spend the time to do it. You can open it up at that time. For those that have like ongoing projects where they need to have something spread out, I tell them to have a separate project table in their office where they can leave it just on there. But for their working desk of where they're at in front of their computer, or it needs to be in front of them what they're actually working on in the moment, because there's just too much distraction having the other things around you. And that goes also to the stacks of papers that people have on their desk. I tell people, you do not want to have those stacks of papers, because you are handling those papers over and over again, and the thing you need is always the last thing at the bottom of that stack, and you've spent all this time going through those things. And in fact, the current stat is that for an hour that you spend planning, it saves you 8 to 10 hours by not having a plan. So yeah, that's pretty huge. And we also spend up to 6 weeks a year looking for lost items. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'd rather go on vacation with that 6th time, or spend some time doing something else than looking for those lost items. And so really what you want to make sure that you have is a consistent system. You actually assign a place where no matter what you have, where you decide this is the home for that thing, that's where it is. So when you look for it, it's always there. So it's like the infamous keys. It's like, when you come home, is there like a key hook? Is there a tray you put your keys on? Is there a section in your purse that you put it, or a section in your car? It's like wherever you decide that those ongoing regular things that you use, you put them in that same place every single time, and you get into the habit of that as well. And that's the same as like in your car. Like when you take things that are in and out from your office to your car, it's like it always goes in the same space every single time. And so that way it's not like they're not looking in 20 different locations. It's in that same place, and you create that habit of having that consistent place for it. Makes sense?
Absolutely. So it would be for agents like some carry key fobs that open lock boxes.
Right.
You need a home for that, is what she's saying, so that you don't have to be looking for it all the time. People will leave these in houses a lot, and then have to go back and figure out where they left them. Pens. My husband as a home builder, he always laughs because he says, every time an agent brings me an offer, I have to loan them a pen. This is something that they need in their, their daily work life. So having an abundance of pen in the car would, like you said, would save a lot of time and energy.
Right.
Another thing that I was thinking as you were talking about saving time is having duplicates of keys made for your listings, because agents are terrible with keys. We just have this thing about we're going to lose a key. We're going to lose it. So having that backup plan of, hey, not a problem, I have another one already located at the house in a safe place, and be able to put that in the lockbox would save, it's such a system that would save, tons of time.
Right.
Love the color coding. That's really great.
Yeah, that's huge. So one of the other things is that in terms of like the stacks of papers I was talking about, like on your desk, is it's better to have an open hanging file, an open box with like 8 hanging files in it that actually have actions that you're going to do with those papers. So it would say like to pay, to call, to write. There's one that says errands, so that would be a piece of paper that you would need to take with you outside of the office. And so you would know anything I need to take with me is in that errands file. So it's the client file you need to take with you the next day. It's, even at home, it's like, this is what my kid needs to take to school. This is the receipt I need to return something. It's anything you need to take outside of your home. It's right there in that hanging file, and you can just grab it and know exactly where it is every single time. So having that open hanging file is really, really helpful. In fact, I've done a short ebook where it's called the papercluttersolutionbook.com, and you can actually have, it's a quick read that shows what are those 8 hanging files, what to put in them, and how to quickly get your hands on those to utilize. When you look at paper, it's what's the action I'm going to do with this paper. If you start going, well, I'm going to read this someday, no, someday's not going to happen. We don't have time for someday. It's like just recycle it now and just be over with it. Or if you get those periodicals or things you want to look at, actually set time aside when you're talking about your calendar and how you're spending your time. You actually want to have designated time for reading. Whether it's 15 minutes or 30 minutes, put it in there, and that's where you're going to go over, your periodicals, you're going to read over reports, you're going to have that happen. If we start looking at, well, I'm going to read that at some point in our day, if it's not a designated time, a block of time for this is when I'm going to make calls, and this is when I'm going to, do computer work, and this is when, I'm going to meet with people, it just doesn't happen, and that also causes kind of this sense of clutter in our brain of that. If we think it's going to happen, but there's not an actual designated time for it to happen, we can't stay organized and on task with it. So it can throw us off in organization by just not creating the time and the space for it. And one of the important things I tell people is to plan your day the night before. Absolutely. I mean, we can look at like our day a month. We can look at, by a week and look at the overall, but you want to the night before, look at exactly what you have, look over the day. I even like to have my clients will print out a paper I call a daily planner, and actually has a picture of a clock on it. And it has like all, each hour, and I have them put just like one word of where they're going to be. There's something visual about looking to see, can I actually be at this place here when I need to be here? And you can visually see, I've got 30 minutes here. Well, in that time, I'm going to actually just write in calls. So I know during that time, this is when I'm going to make my calls. And you're going to also schedule your day a little bit differently if you have to be somewhere at 8 a.m. versus at 10. And so you can look at where is that other pocket of time where I can get myself organized, I can do the things I need to do, and to visually see where you're going to be doing the night before. You're going to sleep better, you're going to have better use of your time, and you're going to utilize a more organized day, having some consistency and some patterns through habits.
Love that. That is awesome. I always try to encourage the agents to spend, at least 20 minutes on Sunday afternoon just preparing their week, looking at their schedule again, see what's missing, see what needs to be added to it, just so they feel like they're ahead instead of chasing all the time. So love the clock idea. That's a great idea.
Right. So, and also, kind of rounding out that about time is, I always tell people at, the end of your day, I even have people set their timer either on their clock or an egg timer for 15 minutes, And whether they do it themselves or with people that help them in the office or even at home with kids, it's like a great thing with them going, okay, we're going to do our 15 minutes, and you set that timer and you put everything away that was out. You put those files away, you pick up the shoes, you put the kids put their homework away, the last of the dishes, just the last clearing. People, I think, underutilize what you can get done in 15 minutes, and just clearing things away back, you can find exactly where they are and they're in their place. It just cleans the slate for the next day. And to utilize that time and to be able to find it makes a big difference. I always use that kind of analogy of, do you remember the Dr. Seuss Cat in the Hat, and he came in and he had that machine and he put everything away that they had taken out through the day type thing, kind of like that, where it's just like everything gets put back into its place and you can just enjoy that instead of that building up, because I think that's really where people start getting overwhelmed, is that we've all had weeks where it's like there's just a lot happening and then everything seems to be out. It's like clothes are hanging over things, shoes are over here, dishes are piling up. You need to have those equalization days, whether it's that's 15 minutes or at the end of the week, where you hit the reset button and you just get those things back to where they go, so it doesn't get to the overwhelm.
I love the using the stopwatch. I do that all the time on my phone. Being able, okay, I've got this amount of time. I'm gonna get that done.
Right.
Count it down, because it does give you more motivation and get you excited about getting that out of the way so you can move on to what you really want to do.
Absolutely.
Well, there's do you guys know who Michael Masterson is, the guy that wrote The Pledge?
Mm-mm.
Does that sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A famous author. He worked for Agora Publishing for a long time and made millions and millions of dollars doing copywriting and a bunch of other stuff. Anyway, the point of that was that he would do something very similar where he writes out his stuff for the week. He'll evaluate it the night before, but when he actually plans out his week, next to the task, he will write out how long he thinks it's going to take, and then when he checks it off, he will write out how long it actually took. And I've noticed, like, going through that process, even if you don't do the second part, even if all you do is just sit down and when you sit down to write your to-do list, you write out how long you think it's going to take, you realize, oh, there's actually not as many things on there as I thought there were. It's actually going to take me a lot less time than I thought, and it keeps you from blowing it up too much in your head mentally and getting clouded by all the things you think you have to do.
Absolutely. Right.
It's a cool tip.
No, I love that.
Like, if you think it's going to take 9 minutes, and you know how we do with GPS, right? How GPS says it's going to take that long to get there, and that's the time to beat. So we would probably do that for each task.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to be off. You're just not. It depends on your personality which way you're off.
Right.
Oh, I can drive there in 5 minutes. It's like 5 minutes. Like what?
I'm all,
Well, also it's helpful to when you look at how you're spending that time, especially when you're looking at the night before, if you feel so overwhelmed that you feel like you have so much to do, you want to do the mind up exercise. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, where you get a piece of paper and you just write everything that's in your head. And and then once you look at it, you can kind of like put it in like 4 different categories. So one is like all the calls that you need to make, and you can just kind of circle those. The other thing is like all the written things you need to do, whether it's on the computer or things you actually need to write out. Then what are all the errands or appointments, things outside of your office or home that you need to do. And then when you look at each one of those separately, then the other thing is that planning. The planning is another aspect of it, where you look at, if I can group these things together, it doesn't look as much when you actually see it, because when it's in our head, we think of it over and over and over again, and that's what leads to the overwhelm. And if we look and go, okay, I actually have 5 calls, I can look and go, how can I organize my day to look at when are those calls going to get done? And I think that people get to the point where they know they need to make the calls, they know they need to make computer work that they need to do, and they need errands they need to do, but the part where they leave off in their organization is when they're going to do it. And they think that they're going to fit it in between a couple things, but until they actually put it on their calendar and they designate that time, even if it's 15 minutes, to write that down on there, there's something about it's kind of like off your plate, because it's there, and to be able to check it, like that's why I like actually having that one written piece. I have all my things electronic, but having that one piece of paper that I have where I can just check off those things around the clock, it just is, it's magic. It's like it got done. It's like, and it's part of that racing against the clock where it's like, look what I got done. This is what I got done. That's what I got done. And you actually feel better about how you've organized your day. You've got more control over it.
and I would like to make sure that I feel I'm checking that off. Productive. So you were talking about, I was about to ask you about, how to cut down on that feeling of being overwhelmed. Right now, the market didn't slow at all, even through the holidays, which, there's these preconceived notions that nobody buys houses during the holidays. And this year, buyers proved them wrong. And so really none of our clients have felt that they had any sort of rest. And they're showing like crazy. They're writing offers like crazy. They're putting houses on the market, taking offers, immediately. They're feeling overwhelmed, and there is a ton of paperwork. So, how do you help cut down on that overwhelm and that chaotic feel, so that they can just, feel organized on top of everything again?
Right, right. I think the number one thing is taking that time the night before. It's really looking at your day before, because I think if you start when you wake up and you start looking at your day, then you've probably wasted a lot more time, because now you're trying to juggle things and try and figure out how things are going to fit in and what's it look like. And if the night before you're looking at, okay, what are the have-tos that I have in there, and you get those on there, you want to group as many like activities together as possible. So if you're going to be out meeting people, try and have that like a 10 to 2 time, that it's all happening at the same time, because coming back to the office and out again and back and forth and all that type of thing can really take a big toll, not only in time, but just in adding to the chaos of your day. So if you decide, okay, I'm going to be out from 10 to 2, be out. And then if you need to stop at a coffee shop or work out of your car or whatever, make your calls while you're there versus coming that back and forth kind of thing. But looking the night before of how that is going to unravel in your day and look at. And you also want to have blocks of time where you don't have something scheduled. Really want to avoid having something planned every hour on the hour, because things get delayed. You need to have that breath to, be able to have those healthy snacks and, be able to, really take some time out. And you have to look at it in terms of it's a marathon and not a sprint. Even though it may feel like a sprint because of all the activity that's going on, you have to look at, how you're maintaining your energy, and when you're looking at the day in totality of giving yourself gaps in your day to not feel overwhelmed. We start feeling overwhelmed when things are stacked too close together. So we want to organize our day, giving ourselves some gaps. And so 45 minutes are better to schedule than the full hour.
I'm only grinning and laughing because I meet with 16 clients per day, every day. Stacked.
I was laughing on your behalf, Jenny. I'm just watching you going, yes, good luck with that.
Right, right. So, well, and here's the thing too, is that, a lot of times I tell people that if they maybe work a little bit more on and have an actual day off, I mean, I know that's kind of a crazy concept for people to actually take that day off, but having that reset and maybe having a couple hours during that day off to really, purge their office and get rid of the things that are there. I mean, part of that feeling of being organized and having things stacked up is because there's a lot of things around you that you don't need. You simply don't need. And so if you're really looking at what's the most productive things that I can have around me, you have to get rid of the superfluous. The things that you're not going to read, you're not going to use, they're outdated. I mean, just get rid of those things. And you have to just be really, cut and dry with yourself with that, and not be, if you start getting into that, well, someday I'll look at it kind of thing, just get rid of it.
I'm such a hoarder like that, so I know what you mean. Like, somebody might need this one day. These are such great tips. Oh, somebody could use this. Yeah, I know.
Right.
But you're right. If you took that one day a week just to say, get rid of the crap. Just get it out of my face. Trash, 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 trash.
Yep. Yeah, you'll feel good.
Well, I think it's freeing. Instead of hanging on to everything. So you said something about everything that you do is electronic. What kind of tools do you recommend electronically on staying organized?
Well, I mentioned that my like all my appointments, I use an electronic calendar. And as far as with a computer, you want to have your computer folders of things that you need to save that that people email you or resources. You want to have them named the same thing as your physical files. So no matter if you're looking for it on your computer or you're looking in a physical file, it's named the same thing. So they have to be a congruent system. So like I even have an action box that I was talking about on my computer where I actually has a folder that says action box, and then I've got separate folders that say, you know, to pay, to call, to write. And so I know if I'm quickly going through some emails, I can just throw them into that file of to call, to write, to pay, you know, what needs to happen with those things. Yeah. And I also have one that says to read. So, you know, I throw them in there to read. And so in my times how I've organized my day where I actually have just calls, write, read on my calendar, I can go straight into those files and have that concentrated time to do it. And that way all I'm looking at in my inbox are the critical things that need to happen right away, which again is a block of time that you've created of this is when I'm putting out all the fires, this is when I'm responding to people, and this is when I'm making it happen. If you start seeing that to read file starts really building up, you can just delete those, just like we're, you know, getting rid and recycling things in your office. But that way it's out of your way if you're not ready to. I mean, obviously the best item is to just delete it right away. If you know you're not going to look at it, you have to be really strict with yourself to just delete those things out. And those ongoing prescriptions that we have that come into our email that we're not looking, that's not serving us, just unsubscribe to those. I mean, it's just adding more things to your email that you don't need to have. So you have to look at your electronic just as you do with your paper things that you have, and just be really clear about what you're really going to read and look at and what you can just delete.
So for agents, having a really good CRM or a database system will help you, and you got to learn how to use it, but it will help you stay organized. It will give you your tasks, your notifiers, your to-dos. I love that you're eliminating a lot of the thinking with the to-do list by having the folders, the action folders,
right.
Online and physical. That's a great tip, because now I don't have to think so much. I can just pull that up when I've got it scheduled on my calendar, and
right.
action that needs to be taken.
Well, and what I found is, like, you know, we all want to be, you know, more electronic, but in some ways electronic isn't as practical for us. I mean, I know particularly for, I mean, some of you may have a bunch of sticky notes all around your desk and things that you've written, and it's like, well, what do you do with those things? And I tell people the easiest thing, like if you're on a call, you've got that one call on a sticky, just put it in your to call folder, and that way you've got all the information you need versus having to sort through all the other stickies and multiple things on the stickies, and it can just get, you know, overwhelming. But as I tell people to transition out of the sticky method is to actually utilize, again, those same folders on your notes in your phone. So I actually have a note in my phone that says to call, to write, errands, you know, those big categories that I can put them in there so that when I'm out, it's all right there. I mean, even organizing like your grocery list. I mean, I tell people have a grocery list on your phone, because how many people that have it, you know, either written on something or it's on the refrigerator and you're out and it's like, what the hell's on that list? You know, always have it with you. And so that's where you can kind of have the electronic and the written part kind of married together for when you're on the go.
Well, and agents, just like exactly what she's talking about. If you take your CRM and then you download it on your phone, then as you're meeting people throughout the day, if you're in that grocery line or if you go through Starbucks and you have a conversation with someone, you can immediately enter their contact information right into your phone, which will upload into your system. You can keep your files in Dropbox if you need to, and label them appropriately, just like what she was saying, so that you have access to, you know, what did that contract say? Let me pull it up right here. You can also use Instanet or DocuSign in order to get all of these things signed correctly, so that you've got everything at your fingertips. I'm sure, though, that you even have, Diane, some excellent tips on, you know, what do you do with all those files if for some reason, you know, some of our agents are very scared to go paperless, but they're in their office, they're in their home office, they're in their cars. I mean, what's the best way if they've got, you know, 8 contracts going to keep up with all of that?
Right. So the main thing is when you've got something electronic is that you name it in a way that you can find it. And a lot of times when we're working on projects that are online, we'll have like a lot of different versions to it. So how you actually save it can make a big difference. So if you're working on something and you've made some updates to it, you want to, when you save it, add the date to it. So you know that when you look at your list of things that are maybe called the same thing, you can look at what's the most recent date, so you know that's the most recent of your project that you're utilizing. So
that's a good idea.
yeah, very huge, because how many times have you gone into somewhere and there's like 4 different versions of it, and you're like, well, what's the most recent, what's the most relevant, what's the one that's the most update? So by just adding, at the end of what you have it called to put the date on it, that will save you a lot of time. And like I know for now, like I'm doing a lot of video work right now, and I have like a lot of different scripts of information that I'm doing. Well, I'm updating that all the time, and I can just go into my folder and see, okay, what is the latest date? I know that's the most recent information I have. I can just send that off, and it's ready to go.
Well, good. Well, okay, how can people find you?
Yes. So they can go to my website, dianehalfman.com, which is DianeHalfman, and they can also on that site go dianehalfman.com/ebook2, and that will have the 10 tips of clearing the confusion of clutter, so they'll have a lot more tips to look at for support.
Love that. And agents, I definitely recommend that you take advantage of that free ebook, because I know you. There's a lot. I thank you both so much for being here and bringing such great value to today's call, or the show, I should say. I know I look forward to getting to know both of you better and utilizing your services. And any way that I can help you, please let me know. Next week on 60 Minutes to Six Figures, or next month on the second Monday of the month, we are going to be talking about how to generate the best listing leads. So again, Diane, if you want to share your website again.
Sure. It's Diane Halfman, DianeHalfman.com and /ebook2 to get the free tips.
Okay, great. And she also will help you go from clutter to calm. I love it. And Kristen, you want to share your web address again?
Sure. It's KristenNolan.com. So that's KRISTEN as in Nancy, N as in Nancy, OLAN.com. And then if you want the free snack list, go to 31snacks.com.
Love it. Thank y'all so much. And Matt, I appreciate you as always. And
my pleasure.
Make sure that you put yourself in the best advantage to make sure that you hit those big goals this year, because I'm going to be paying attention. So report in and let me know what you've been accomplishing. Have a great day and a productive week.